Hi everyone. I'm often asked about children's handwriting and children writing things in the exact reverse. So we call this mirror writing. And often the first time you see this it can be quite disturbing and you can think, whoa, what is going on? And I get a lot of questions about dyslexia. Is that a cause for this? All that sort of stuff. I'm here to tell you, don't panic. Okay, the way that children start understanding letters, it all has to do with our brain and how we perceive objects. And letters are really tricky because they have to go in a certain direction. Whereas other things, for example, if you think of this cup, if I look at it this way, it's a cup. If we look at it this way, it's still a cup. Most objects, doesn't matter which way you look at them. This is a spoon. If we hold it this way, it's still a spoon. If I hold it this way, it's still a spoon. No matter what way you look at that, your brain will tell you it's a spoon, okay? Now, most objects, doesn't matter what way you look at them, they're always going to be the same thing in your brain. So letters are the exception to that rule, and numbers. And they have a certain orientation they need to be for us to then learn how to read and go on to that next step of literacy. Now, the brain doesn't completely understand left and right concepts until around 8 years of age. So when the children are in preschool and they're starting to learn to write their names and they do that in the exact reverse, we are definitely not panicking about this. It's just that the brain has seen the symbol of the letters that are the name, and then they know that's how I'm going to write it, but they haven't quite learnt that it must go with the stick at the left, or it must go with the tail and the flick going over to the left in those certain letters. So all of those sort of things are still happening for the brain to understand letter formation. If you think of it in terms of other symbols that we see, our brain is really not good at configurations of objects. So think about the Mona Lisa. If you think of that painting, everyone knows the Mona Lisa painting, but is she facing this way or is she facing this way? You may not remember the details of it. Think about the Statue of Liberty. Everyone knows she's holding the flame. Is she holding it in the left hand or is she holding it in the right hand? Those details are lost on us because the brain just doesn't compute that stuff easily. So therefore, when we're learning handwriting and we're learning how letters need to be formed, we need to do a lot of intentional teaching. And this stuff happens between 3 to 7 or 8 years of age. So it is very normal for your child to have not understood that letters have to go in a certain direction yet. There are different ways that you can help them learn this, of course. Modelling writing their name, always giving them an example of, dots for them to be able to follow with a little arrow so they know where to start, so that then their brain rote learns, this is where I need to start every time I write the letter L. I need to start at the top and go down and across to that right side of my body. Giving them their name cut up into pieces, and then they put together that jigsaw puzzle for their name. Other ideas, making Play-Doh letters for their names. All of those sort of things are really, really important to be able to have ongoing as regular practice for handwriting. When you're outside, drawing pictures and signing it with your name. When you're at the beach, writing your name in the sand. All of those sort of things are really, really important activities for your children to be able to get lots and lots of practice so that their brain rote learns that this is how my name needs to look. Now, it's not super important that you correct your child when they've written the mirror image because, as I've just explained, they probably see it as it's correct. If they ask you for corrections, absolutely, you can say, oh, have a look. When I write your name, I normally start on the left-hand side of the paper, but you've started on the right. Why don't we try it the other way around and see if it looks different? Giving them those examples will really help. You can give them a little spot or a little hole punch on the top left side of the paper so that they know that's the side to start writing their name, and that way it just naturally progresses from the left to the right. It's all of that early literacy that your children are starting to learn at the moment, that writing always starts at the left and then moves across to the right. Now, this mirror writing, it happens in children who are right-handed, it happens in children who are left-handed, because it's all about the brain's understanding of symbolism. But it can also be, if you have a right-handed child, it might be a little bit trickier, because when they're writing, if they're not very good at crossing that imaginary midline yet, they're just going to start writing wherever their hand is, and naturally it will then go across to the left. So those activities that we talk about with crossing the midline, lots of shoulder crosses, lots of stretching out to either side, lots of touching the opposite knee, all of those sort of music and movement activities that we're doing at Kinder are helping your children to naturally then cross that midline, so that if they are a right-hander, then it's not going to impact them with their handwriting later down the track. So I hope that explains it a little bit better. But as with anything, if you do have any questions about where your child's at in terms of literacy and in terms of their handwriting, please let us know, and we can have that chat with you about your child on an individual level. Okay, see you later.